Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I just realized as I sat down, the last time I wore the shirt, I think was a Jane Iredale video. That apparently this green and Jane Iredale go together. But that is what we're talking about today. There's a lot of newness in the world of Jane Iredale, and I'm here to talk about it all. So I've got the brand new Glow Time Pro BB Cream, the blushes, which I've touched on some, and the eyeshadows. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna really concentrate on anything else. I just want to talk about the newness. So the first thing we're gonna do is talk about the brand new Glow Time Pro BB Cream. So this is replacing the original Glow BB Cream. That one only came in 7 shades. This one comes in 13, and they're the same price. So it is $52. Now this does have an SPF 25. And from what I can see, the SPF is 25 throughout all shades, whereas the original Glow BB was 17 in the darker shades and 25 in the lighter shades. So Jane Iredale did send this to me, so I have a little bit of a information booklet right here, and I'm gonna call out some of the ingredients that they call out. So it has sunflower seed oil, it has titanium dioxide and zinc oxide, which comprises the 25 SPF, so it is all mineral. Grapefruit extract, which helps brighten and blur lines, and apple extract, which exfoliates and supports skin elasticity. It claims to be a medium to full weightless buildable coverage, quick dry, non-greasy formula, radiant satin finish that looks and feels like skin, and is long lasting and transfer resistant. It also says it minimizes the appearance of pores and fine lines for a smooth, even complexion. Here's the thing with this one. I know that I did a video on the original BB cream a few years ago, and I've always loved that product, always. And I know a lot of people were like, oh, I can't use it, it's too cakey. And there was definite learning curve with that. You needed a very small amount. I find that with this one, you need an even smaller amount. Therefore, I cannot say that this has any sun protection in it. Yes, it says it has SPF 25. However, when you use a literal drop, which you'll see how much I use, like probably not even half a pump, you are not getting near the amount of product to give that sun protection. So please, this is just me talking, but I'm saying, please do not skip a separate sunscreen underneath this. I currently have on the Elta MD UV Elements. So I am in the shade number GT4, and for reference, I was in the shade 6 in the original. So the numbers are not going to match up. So if you were in 5 in the original, you're not gonna be 5 in this one, most likely. You're gonna need to look at swatches online, but you're probably gonna need to go down 1 or 2, at least from the experience of this shade. Now, the packaging, Super Luxe White Matte, which they are changing all of their packaging over to. Love the packaging, squeeze tube, but it does include a pump, whereas the other one was just a squeeze tube. So I do find you get much more controlled usage of this, but again, you just don't need a lot. So I am going to pump out this much. So that is the shade, and that is how much I'm going to use. So I think you can see why I cannot say that this is an actual sun protection product. Now, while the other one had a learning curve, in my opinion, this one has even more so of one, because I do not find that I am able to dot it all over my face like I did with the original. I need to work in sections, because when it says quick dry, it means quick dry. It is going to set into the skin and dry very fast. So all of my Jane rep friends that I follow on Instagram are showing to put 4 dots all over the face. I'm gonna put 2 dots on this side. And then this is the blending contour brush from Jane. But I've used it with my It Cosmetics that I love, and it works great. I do like this better with a brush or fingers versus a sponge, but that's definitely personal preference. So you saw how fast that blended in, and it's also going to dry down fairly fast. So if I would have put dots over here while I was blending this part out, or this side out, these dots would have already started to dry down on my face, and they would not have been easily blendable. Okay, so that is with the BB, and this is without. So you can see some of my redness. I'm gonna put 2 more dots right there and quickly blend it in. And hopefully you can see how that covered that redness really well. It says medium to full. I feel like the original was a legit full from the get-go. I do think this is more of a medium to full, meaning when you start out using this much, you're gonna get a solid medium coverage. And then if I wanted to add a little bit more coverage, I can build it up on top of that by just stippling it in where I want that coverage. But because it is a, buildable product, it's not gonna cake on top of each other even after that first layer has dried down on the skin. So this is a full face. I have still that much left of that tiny little dot. So whatever I have left, I'm just gonna kind of quickly blend down my neck. To me, this is it settles into the skin real well. I think it helps immensely that you don't use a lot of product. So it's gonna help look more skin-like the less you use. And since you don't need much to get this kind of coverage with this product, it's pretty much guaranteed to be skin-like every time. Now, I think even though I have a slight glow to the skin, I do feel like this one is a little less dewy than the original. So if you're someone who felt like that was just too much, this one might be one to try out. I also feel like it's still a tad tacky, but if you're not someone who likes to set your makeup, I don't feel like it's really a requirement for this. So I don't want someone with maybe combo skin to see that it has sunflower seed oil in it and start being like, oh, I can't use it, because it is absolutely not oily. So I do want to point that out. Now I am gonna show the setting of this BB cream, because even though this is not a new product, I do wanna kind of talk about what I have used. I'm gonna use the Amazing Base today in Warm Sienna, which if you are in Golden Glow in the pressed, Warm Sienna is gonna be your shade in the loose. And I'm gonna take the chisel powder brush and use this to set. I'm still going to be doing a separate video for this Amazing Base by itself, because it is technically a mineral foundation powder, but I really enjoy using it to set. It does have more of a luminous finish than the pressed. I have used the pressed with this BB cream as well, and it works great. Now, I've had a couple of people in comments or Instagram messages ask me if I'm going to review the new Jane pressed foundation. They did not reformulate that. So the Pure Press base from Jane Iredale that I have recently done a full review on, I'll put it up in the in a card, is not a new formulation. They just repackaged it. So that's why I'm not talking about it in today's video. Plus I did just do that separate review. But I'm just laying that powder on. I've also used it with non-Jane powders and it works great. I've used it with the Era Perez. I've used it with my Charlotte Tilbury. I haven't had any issues with any of it. I feel like if I want it to be more matte, I just use a more matte powder. If I want it to be more luminous, I will just use something like this to give it a little bit more luminosity. And then again, if you are someone who does not like to use powder at all, I think you'll be fine using this without it. I went ahead and applied my bronzer and highlight. I used the So Bronze 1, a huge favorite of mine, and then the Allure Shadow as my highlight. You can see I've hit pan. This is my second one that I've hit pan on. This is the old formula of the Allure, but they did bring out a single in the new one, and I've used it as a highlight. It appears much darker in the pan, but it still works as a highlight for me. So that's what I've done. And now let's talk about the blushes. I am not going to swatch all of the blushes. I will do that. I'm going to try my best to film a reel this afternoon so that I'm able to have that up on the same day that this video goes up. So be sure and check that out on Instagram so that you can see all of the colors, because there are 14 blushes. So these are the same colors, different formulation. And I have swatched all of the old colors next to the new colors, and really there's not much difference at all. Some of them you can't see any kind of difference. Some of them might have a slight difference in a swatch, but they really don't show up on the skin that different. The only one that I would say is different is Sunset. So this is Sunset, and the original Sunset is much lighter than this, but it's still beautiful, and this is a gorgeous eyeshadow. Just saying. But also if you have a darker skin tone than me, you're gonna love this. But like the Flawless, the Sheer Honey, which I love, Clearly Pink, they're all very similar. They are a different formula. But again, they come in this beautiful new white matte packaging, and they have the Jane embossed on the actual powder. I think my Sheer Honey, you can't hardly see the Jane anymore because, yeah, it's almost gone. This is my favorite. My favorite in the original, my favorite in the new. I don't know what I'm going to use today. I use Sheer Honey all the time. Let's use Cherry Blossom. So this is Cherry Blossom. And again, just like the original, I love them on the cheeks, but I also love them as eyeshadows because we're gonna be talking about some new eyeshadows. I'm not gonna use them as eyeshadows today, but I have in plenty of other videos if you wanna check those out. Now, speaking of eyeshadows, they have brand new palettes. Okay, these are 5 brand new palettes, and they now have 6 shades instead of 5. So if you remember the old palettes, I'll grab one real quick. Okay, so this is the old packaging. So you had 1 larger shade and then 4 of the additional shades. Whereas now, so this is the Solar Flare in the old packaging, and this is the Solar Flare in the new packaging. So you can see very, very similar colors except for the addition of the 6 shade in every palette. So everyone's gonna have a new shade, and they're all the same size versus having one that's larger than another. They also came out with trios. Now I have posted a reel on my Instagram with swatches of all of the 6-pan palettes, so check that out. The trios and singles are coming. They also came out with singles. So they have new shades. They did discontinue some shades, and then they have some of the existing shades, but they are all new formulas. So I'm gonna just play around with a couple of these palettes. My favorite is the Naturally Matte, because I love these like warmer matte shades. I think it's a great companion palette to put, like I would take this and the single shade Allure, and I would have multiple different looks to go with. And then I also love Pure Basics, which is another all matte. And then they have a brand new one that's never before seen shades, and this is Storm Chaser. And if you look at the swatches of this on my Instagram, it's just gorgeous. That black is so black. Really, really pretty. So I'm gonna go in with Naturally Matte, and I am going to mix these 2 shades right here, the 2nd and 3rd shade, and put that in my crease. You can see, super pigmented, but blend out really well. Then I'm gonna take a little bit of the Solstice Cream Highlighter, which is just this really pretty, like pinky white. I'm just gonna, which actually has like a tinge of gold in it. I'm gonna put that on the lid, because y'all know I love a good eyeshadow base. You don't need an eyeshadow base. I will use these more. Y'all, I have been traveling so much lately that I have not been able to be very consistent with my Instagram get ready with me's, but I will use, you know, more shades and these palettes more in those videos in the future. I pulled out Brown Sugar to use this first shade because I really like that, but I think I'm actually gonna use from Ravishing, the trio. I'm gonna use this gold shade right here. And I'm just gonna use my finger to, oh yeah, apply that. Oh, that's pretty. I haven't used this trio yet, but look at that pigment. I will say, I think overall, they have upped the game with the eyeshadows. They were, it's hard for me to pick a least favorite because Jane Iredale is just such a favorite brand of mine, but they were probably my least favorite existing products within the line. It doesn't mean I didn't like them, because I did. The Solar Flare was just, that gold in the old Solar Flare was just one of my absolute favorites. They just, I felt like they had room for improvement, and I do feel like they have improved. I'm gonna go back into the Naturally Matte and use this dark burgundy shade. It's a very warm brown as an eyeliner. And because I'm not going anywhere, I'm not gonna deepen up the, well, going anywhere of importance. I have errands to run, but I don't wanna be too too smoky. I'm not gonna deepen up the outer V, but that could be done for sure if you wanted to make this more of like a smoky look, but I really like those two colors together. And then for the lower lash line, I will take that same kind of combination of those two shades, using more of the darker shade than the lighter, and use that to smoke under the eye. I mean, so simple, but I really like that gold color. Okay, I'm gonna apply the Jane Iredale mascara real quick, and I will be right back. Okay, so this is the Jane mascara, and I'm just gonna pop on some lip gloss. These are the fairly new Hydropure hyaluronic lip glosses. I feel like they had another name, but Hydropure is its name. And this is Mocha Latte. So these are not opaque at all. They give just a slight tint of what is represented in the tube. So I can even wear the brighter colors. And there you go. That is the finished look. I actually really do like the BB cream. I'm not going to say it's like 100 times better on me than the original, because I just absolutely love the original, but it's definitely not a step down as long as you don't use too much product. If you do, you're not gonna like it. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. So keep that in mind if you give it a try. And again, all of this can be found at Harbin House. That's where I get all of my Jane, and I will have that listed down below along with a discount code for y'all. So let me know if you have any questions. Stay tuned for more swatches on Instagram and more looks using some of these eyeshadows. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure and like and subscribe before you leave so you don't miss out on any future videos. And I hope that y'all are all staying happy, healthy, safe, and that you go out and have a very blessed day.